Right. So for the purpose of the recording and for anybody here who this is your first time and we haven't met yet, I'll just kind of set this up. I'm Jamie Shibley, CEO of the Expressory, and we are a strategic engagement agency. So we work with other professional service providers to handle all of their nurturing of prospects, as we're going to learn today, existing clients, and even team and other supporting relationships in business. So all of the personal touch stuff. And we started hosting these Q&As because what we have found is that the more remote, the more virtual all this work becomes, the more that we're all becoming a lot more socially disconnected. And people are relating to one another less these days. And so we wanted to find a way for other business leaders to come together and have conversations about how we can develop and implement strategies and tactics that really keep our businesses operating from a relationship first standpoint. And so today's conversation is a little different than some of our past Q&As because we're actually going to be working together. Normally in these sessions, what we do is we'll we'll teach a particular subject for about 15 minutes, and then we open it up to discussion and questions. But today, and probably for the next 5 months, we are going to work together. So I am going to walk you through, as you probably saw in the information that for the sign up, I'm going to walk you through our Dream 25 system for nurturing prospects. And I'll jump in a minute here on the presentation. Let me get that going. But what we'll do is I will start walking through some examples, and we're going to do some of yours together as well. So by the time we are done with the 6 months, my goal, or 5 months, we'll see how this goes. My goal is that you are actually going to have not only your list of dream prospects, but you are going to have a working plan that you can actually start implementing and nurturing some of these high value leads. And that plan should actually last over the course of a year. And it should be one that you'll test on the go. And you'll be able to even add additional contacts depending on how the implementation goes. So this is something that can be reusable for you. All right. So as I mentioned to those who were on in the beginning, if you have yesterday's email, hopefully you noticed there was an attachment in that email, a spreadsheet. I want to make sure that as I jump in here, go ahead and get that open, because I want you to work on your own list as we go, as I jump through some of this stuff. And if you don't have it and you need me to resend that, put your email in the chat and we'll get that over to you. All right, so I am going to start sharing my screen here. Let me know if you can see the PowerPoint. We're good? All right. Okay. So the reason we wanted to start teaching this Dream 25 system is that what we have found over time is that there are really 5 constraints that seem to be holding people back from developing their own lead nurturing, their own business development strategy. So when we talk to clients and prospects of our own and we ask what they're doing for new business development, it usually starts like this. Well, I don't have a list. And if they do have a list, they don't really know how to go about finding additional information about them, right? More than just a contact and an address. And if they do have more information, they don't know how to use all of that, the insight, to actually develop a plan. Okay. So if they do understand what's important to the prospect, they really don't know how to create any type of experiences to get the attention of those leads. And then finally, if they are implementing it in some way and you ask about, okay, how's it going? It's just kind of something they do, and they're not really measuring it or understanding how to make adjustments and learn from there. Okay. So over the course of the next few months, as we mentioned, we're going to walk through all of these things. So today's conversation, we are going to work on creating your list. So the Stream 25 system, you may have heard about that. Sometimes it's called the Nano list. Sometimes people have a Dream 100, and I have even interviewed somebody who has a Dream 500. But the reason we work with, and we've adapted this Dream 25 system, is 25 is about the number of relationships that you can really go deep on, that you can really hope to have some sort of ongoing nurturing with at a time. And what we have found is that it's this deeper engagement that is really what is yielding the best results when it comes to conversion. And one of the examples I can give you is that we had a client that for a year was nurturing their list was all of their podcast interview, the people that they interviewed on their podcast. And after a year's time, they converted 27% of that list by being consistent about showing up and having different touch points over time. Okay. And so that's what we're going to get when we actually complete all of this. Now, to start this process, what I really want you guys to think about is that these dream prospects should be so high value to you that if you closed one of them, they would be worth 5 to 10% of your annual revenue. And we want you to think that high because these type of contacts, you would be willing to invest $1,000 in a budget to nurture that relationship over the course of a year. Now, if $1,000 hits you wrong, that doesn't feel good, I want you to aim higher. You are probably not thinking about the right level type of prospect. Now, for those of you who serve B2B, these will be business prospects for you. But those of you, maybe your financial advisors, where your clients are just, they're consumers, B2C, for you, let's develop this system so that you are thinking of your dream strategic partners. So these are referral partners. And they're going to be equally as valuable for you because these are the types of partners that are going to send you multiple referrals. Okay, so I just want to check in. Everybody following along so far, that makes sense? Okay, interrupt me if not. Okay, so what I want you to do now is think about your own best client. And maybe if you're moving out of that particular market, hold on one second. I see there's some people in the waiting room. Let me admit, got to remember to pay attention to that while we're doing this. Okay, so maybe if your current best client is not in the same market you want to target going forward, think about that, get that dream prospect in mind, okay? And I want you to be able to answer these 3 questions about that ideal target, okay? What is their revenue in business? Now, again, remember, if you serve B2C, these are your strategic partners. In their business, what makes them a good partner, right? What does their revenue typically look like? How many employees do they usually have? And specifically, what industry are they in? All right. So when we have these things in mind, we're going to go forward and I'm going to show you some ways to search for those lists, for those contacts. And I'm going to start using Sales Navigator in LinkedIn. For those of you who are not familiar with Sales Navigator, this is the paid portion of LinkedIn. It's about $99 a month, about 100. I am not completely well-versed in it. I just use it for all this, for cranking out this research. So together, we'll see if we can answer any questions you have. But this tool, let me go ahead and open that now. I'll show you how you get to it. All right. So when you're in LinkedIn, over here on the upper right-hand side, can you see the Sales Navigator? Okay. That's where you access this tool. And it brings you to this entire section. And I'm going to walk you through how we research some of these. Now, mine's going to look a mess. This tool must think I'm all over the place because we do this research for our clients. And so it probably thinks I have no idea what my market is. So we're going to go through. All right. So what I do when I come in here is we're going to go over to account filters. And this is where you can begin your research. Now, those questions I asked you, that's because each of these filters, you can go ahead and plug in what makes your dream client. Now, if anybody has this tool, go ahead and follow along with your own market. For those of you who don't have it, don't worry, we'll run through some examples for you. And if we have time, maybe we can, we'll walk through actually some of yours. Okay, but for the purpose of example, I'm going to use this revenue range. In some of our searches for markets, I've even added, like, if some people tell us, okay, anywhere from 1 million to 25, right? You can add multiple revenue ranges. Head count, I am going to do 11 to 50 employees. Headquarters, I do US based. We have had some clients who are extremely regional. So I mean, only certain cities in a state. So you can get down to that level as well. I'm going to leave it where it is. This has professional services. I am going to do financial advisors. Financial, let's say services. So include. Okay. All right. Now, some of our clients, I'm going to also add another. Some of our clients have such a specific niche. So if, actually, I'm going to see if I can type in financial advisor. Let's see. Come on. No, so it's going to say services. Let's do that. Okay. Now, some people have had us go down to such a niche that Ameriprise, or even, Northwestern Mutual, whatever search. Oops. That's not how I did that. Let me go back. Here's how we did this. All right. And then I just hit enter. So now it even limited. Okay, so the filters over here, you click out of. In this search, I just had to hit enter. If you saw before, I clicked, so it actually brought me to Ameriprise as a company. That's not what I wanted. I wanted Ameriprise Wealth Advisors. So you can see it took the search in the financial services industry specific to this account, the number of people within their firm, and the approximate revenue. Now, here's the thing, I have a suspicion. I don't know that the revenue is extremely precise. I've seen some stuff that looks pretty far off, but for the purposes of this research, it gives you exactly the guidance you need. Okay, so let's open our spreadsheet. And what you'll see is we want company name. You can see all of the different initial research we're going to do. So I'm going to come back over. I'm going to flip back over to LinkedIn. This is the first one it gives me, Confetti Well. If you click on that company, you're just going to copy from right here, Confetti Well. I'm going to add it in right here. It is in the financial services. Now, for those of you who have multiple markets, this is where this industry column can come in. Start with one of the markets that you target. Get through a handful, 5, whatever you want to. Get through a list of them, and then switch over to search for your second market. And how we've done this for other clients, we've had some clients that have 3 different industries on their dream list, and you sort it as we work through these different exercises, right? So that's why you're going to want to keep track of the industry. Okay, then you can see it tells you right here, they have 26 employees. So I'm going to come over here, 26 employees. They are approximately 1 million to 2.5, and I come over here and add that. Now, view more details. I want to show you what this brings up. Everybody see this little side screen? A lot of detail, don't worry about it. This is going to give me their website. I copy it right from there, bring it in here. This might also, some of them will give you their actual address, so you'd copy that from right here. Okay, I'm going to close that. Now, on the screen below here, here's the employees that LinkedIn thinks works there. Here's where I see a lot of companies go wrong, you guys. We think that we have what we need if we just know the company name and an address and phone. But the reality is, if we don't have a contact name as well, this isn't going to do us much good, because you want to be able to speak to a person when we do this nurturing. Okay. So this part helps us out. What you need to think about is, who are you typically talking to when you have that sales conversation? Who's making that decision? Some of our clients know, oh, it's the director of operations, always. Maybe it's the director of business development for a person. So, hey, great, I got that person right here. At least that's what LinkedIn says today. Remember, these could be old profiles. We might find that out as we do future research. But for right now, I got the director of development. That's who I usually talk to. I'm going to copy that over here. What's his name? Marshall. I'm just going to be fast here, guys. Director of operations. Okay. Now, sometimes I can't get all the information I need, so I can visit the website right from here. And then I can dig around in contacts. I can find, let's see, sometimes at the bottom, there we go, right? Here's their phone number. Here's an email. So I'm going to steadily go through and collect the information to fill in as many of these columns as I can. And it's just going to be kind of fast. I don't want you to go extremely deep. Okay, so close out of this. I'm going to hit my back button on Sales Navigator, and I'm going to go down every one of these until I start filling in my list. Now, here's some things you might encounter. There are some reasons to skip these contacts. For instance, when you go to, if you click on their website and that thing doesn't load, well, they may not be in business anymore. Sometimes we've clicked through for a particular business, and we find that the company is actually this big global thing, and they just have different headquarters or different locations in the US, and that maybe doesn't fit how we work, right? You might find something that leads you to understand, yeah, they're probably a bigger company than usually fits with us, and so you might skip that. Sometimes we've found that once you start digging into the company, you see that they have merged, they've been acquired, and you might decide, no, that's not who we're going to use. Again, I have seen cases where LinkedIn says they're one size, but they are clearly way bigger or smaller. And like I mentioned before, if you don't find a contact that is the typical size or the typical contact you work with, put that company on hold. All right, and you'll see on the spreadsheet toward the bottom, I have a little section where you can start to move people to listed as out. If you find as you start digging in, they don't meet your needs. Okay, so I want to take you through the additional ways you can accomplish this research, and then I'm going to come back and we will actually use some of you for example, if that works. Right now, any current questions with what I've just walked you through? A lot. Okay. Okay. We'll keep moving. So some of you aren't going to want to get Sales Navigator. So there are some other options, some other ways you can research this. Google is your friend, right? In the case of, let's take this, stay with this example of the financial advisors. Sometimes we know that certain companies can win awards. So maybe they're part of lists. So Forbes Top 100. Maybe your the Business Journal sometimes have a list of the top, X in your area for different industries. You can look at those as a starting place as well. Association sites. We have had immigration attorneys. There's an association for immigration attorneys. They list every single member. So you could go through and start your list that way. Think of the other ponds that your target is associated with. What other organizations do they typically follow? Could you go out on social media? Sometimes when you're part of like Facebook groups for certain organizations, you can see when they have like members, when new members join, maybe you're following those people and you pull those people in for your list. Yeah, Shondell.
So if you pull them in from a different resource, would you come back to LinkedIn and see what you could find on them in here? Okay.
That's a great
we're
question.
Getting there, sorry.
Yeah, no, perfect. So I actually was researching for a client last night, and that is exactly what I was doing, because some of the company names, I could only find them by Googling them first. Then I would take the name from Google and I would come back into Sales Navigator and I would throw that company name in right here. And then it would pull up that same screen. Let's just look at one of these. It would pull this screen up. And then I would proceed my research that way. Now, when it comes to finding contacts, you guys are probably we've all done it at some point. You can also put them in here, right? Put the company name or search for people associated with that company. So that's another way to search to find the actual contact. Okay. All right. Then that brings us to AI, everybody's friend. If you have ChatGPT or Perplexity, I've heard is the other good one. I was on a webinar and they were teaching different AI prompts and they had this one listed. I'm actually going to copy this and put it in the chat for you. Let's see, chat. What do we got? Okay, here we go. All right. And then I'm going to come over here I have Perplexity open. I'm going to paste that. So let's say, why doesn't somebody give me one of theirs? I want, what type of contact? Shondell, you want to go?
Sure. I'm looking for the CEO or president or owner of a service-based industry. Oops, sorry. Yep, in a service-based industry. So we work a lot with agencies, marketing agencies.
And digital agencies.
There you go.
I don't think we need a location, right?
No, we can do nationwide.
Is there a certain topic?
Challenges with growth, challenges with scaling.
Challenges. All right, let's see. Digital agencies who are discussing. All right. I mean, this is really rough, but it's a great list. So this is telling you how to. See, I wonder if they teach on that though. Oh, look at, there's Drew. So yeah, I bet these are people who are teaching it versus it's a problem for them. So what if we, a list of CEOs in digital agencies who have a challenge growing, scaling. All right. So you might have to finesse this wording, right? But once again, there you go. Or, I mean, it still gives you contacts you can start digging into. That might not be the right who has a challenge. You might want a different wording on it, but you can see that it gives you lists, right? So maybe it's more, show me CEOs in digital agencies who have how many employees? More than
5
employees. And how much revenue?
1.5 million.
1.5 million plus in revenue. You know, something like that. And then start bringing, it really likes this Git uplift. Okay. But I've seen this before where it stops at 3 in other searches I've done.
Okay.
And so I think you can tell in Perplexity here. So I think you can tell it to keep going. But you can do this very similar thing in ChatGPT as well. Okay, so again, now I would take this contact, this company, and bring it into the list, then go into, well, let's just do it. Will Reynolds, there you go. Down here. Seer Interactive. Okay, and then let's flip over to here. Seer Interactive. Hey, look at that. Count. Oh, so I noticed when you do a search, a lot of times it flips you to lead, and I want to go to account, and then you can click on the company. Ooh, look at that. A lot more employees than we told. What's Perplexity?
Well, I think we told it more than 5.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, all right. So let's come back here. Accounts. All right.
So that was 50 million to 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
So like for us, you know, so is there, okay, max to minimum. Got it.
I don't know. What do you want to do?
Do 5.
Okay.
See if it.
Head count 1 to what? No. Head count 1 to 10. Okay. Good. Come on. Industry. Advertising. Services, marketing, even. So you see, I can do both, I bet. Marketing. Marketing services. There. Okay. There you go. That one looks cool. All right, so now we just go down the list. You've got 8 employees. Do you have Sales Navigator, Shondell?
I don't anymore. I have in the past. I had someone else running it for me, and we just weren't ready for it. But we're ready, I think, now to start playing in there again and really utilizing it.
Here, I wonder. I'm just gonna give you this screenshot then. How about we do that?
Awesome. Thank you. Like it.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna pause for a minute here on the screen sharing, and let's get into some questions, because that's a lot. what is everyone thinking? How is it going if you're doing this as we go?
At what point do you pivot? Like if you dive in, you've built your list and you know, out of 10, you've had, a couple that turned out to be really great. Like kind of, do you know kind of what that percentage would be as far as like I've started to actually reach out to them and
Yep.
it's either going well or not interested? Like how, at what point do you shift or what's your key factors
You're
of
going to
when
be
kind of,
well into your year of,
okay.
so you really don't. I mean, in an ideal scenario, you don't, unless they tell you to stop or they flat out, they're not interested. You just keep going. Because you want to be top of mind when they make a decision, right? Now, that's not to say we haven't had some scenarios along the way where you can tell, okay, for instance, sometimes we've sent stuff and we've had it kicked back. Well, all right, take them off the list because either that's not the right address or they rejected it or whatever. But you'll see as we get into developing the plan why this is kind of more of a long-term game. Now, right now, as you're developing the list, I like to see if you have multiple industries, I like to see groups of at least 5 in each industry. If your Dream 25 is gonna have multiple. All right, what else? Has anybody tried a search, had any questions? Yes, Ellie.
So mine is slightly different in that I think I fall more under the B2C section of things.
Yep.
And so my targets are, women ages 35 to 55, professionals, typically working in tech. But I'm thinking that like my Dream 25, the ones who are going to refer to me are folks like parenting coaches, divorce coaches, maybe like recruiters for female executives, kind of those sorts of folks. So when I do that, is it, or does it make sense that I'm reaching out to say 5 of each of those type of potential referral partners?
Yeah. Yes. I was just going to go ahead and give me one of those types or industries.
Let's try, well, I don't know, it probably is all professional services, right? Like a parenting coach maybe, or a divorce. Is there anything that comes up?
Family services is what I heard it called.
I suppose it could be, yeah.
Family. This probably.
Sure.
Okay. Probably 1 to 10 employees. Is certain areas?
I would say let's go with Midwest.
Okay. Midwest region. Midwest. Let's see. All right. This is where
everything in the United States is fine.
This is where I would just start adding like certain states.
Sure.
Right. Just get a group of them. Enough to start narrowing stuff down. Okay. So any of these,
and maybe like filter, can we put in a keyword of divorce or parenting or something like that?
How about parenting? Get that.
That totally makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me screenshot this. Because yeah, then what you could do, ooh, why did it do that? No, that's not going to get us a good screenshot. Then I would say, you take these names, and if you don't have Sales Navigator, then just start basic LinkedIn and Google searches, right? Like you at least have some to go on. Allie, let me this over to you. Allie. No, that's not it. All right, anybody else?
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah. Does that help? That gives you enough. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. Is anybody else getting hung up? To me, this is like, at first when we started doing this, it kind of gave me a lot of stress because I'm like, how on earth are we going to find this? But I don't know, this is where it's like a puzzle. Okay, if I start digging into this, what am I finding that either feels right? And it got me excited because the more I found, oh, wow, look. And I think that's why a lot of people stop. Because if somebody asks you, who are your dream prospects? And you have not gone through any type of exercise like this, it feels like, how on earth would I find them? But once you start really pinpointing some of the stuff that makes good clients for you, you realize there really are a lot of them like that, that I could start talking to. And remember, again, we want to grab one of the key pieces of information here is going to be the contact. So my challenge to you guys is, before we meet next time, I want you to do this work, this search, and bring a list of at least 10. Okay. Try to get to 10. Ideally, get to your 25, and I'm going to suggest you might even want to go about 30, because in the next exercise, you may still rule some out. But we have certainly run this strategy in batches. So you can start with 10. You're going to get things moving eventually as we work through this. And if it's feeling like it's the right thing, now you can always add more, add another 5, and then add the next 5. And you're going to send them through the same sequence of touch points that we eventually develop. So you can see, if we get back, right, why I want you to bring this, I want you to get to 10. Next time, what we're going to dig into is all of the details, finding what's important to them. And Allie, this is why we don't actually want to work with that individual on your list, because that can start to get a little creepy. This might already start to feel like, well, stalking, but you know, if you tried to nurture an individual at that level, it might not land, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to take eventually we're going to get to a place where the contact that we have at this organization, we're going to start showing up in ways that let this person know we see what's important to them. We care, we're trying to be helpful. And this is the stuff that I want to walk you guys through, and why getting to this level of research that we're going to do is important. So let me know if you've been, if we want to walk through some other examples. We have some time. I want you guys to get there.
So Jamie, can I make a couple of questions?
Yeah.
I exported out my current database, and I just worked through what I have now so I can verify what's real, what's not. And I color coded them and etc. And the interesting part is, my understanding is when we put them in tags, etc., for our database, that'll be part of the journey, but you want them to go on the spreadsheet as well, correct? And put them in a different spreadsheet.
Yeah, you're going to want them in the spreadsheet because before the next Q&A, you're going to get, I'm splitting this up into separate spreadsheets. When we do the work, it's all in one, it's all different tabs. Okay, so you're welcome when you get the next spreadsheet to pull it into this one as another tab. Okay, but what you're going to get is another tab where we bring in the list of names, and it's got all sorts of columns of insights, like their goals, what are their hobbies, what are their like causes. There's all sorts of stuff we're going to research together, and I'm going to show you how we find those things. Okay. And that's why I do it in a spreadsheet, so you can kind of track all of the stuff that gets sent. Now, but you bring up a really good point, you guys. I should probably add that it's probably very helpful to look in your current contact, in your current database, because chances are you've got some people on there already who are high priority prospects. Well, but I bet you don't have a lot of the information that we're going to start to collect, right? So that's a great exercise, is go through that list from your CRM or wherever else you have it, and start highlighting, segmenting the ones who, you know what, I really should convert these guys. Bring those on your list. One of our clients just showed us, when we started asking him about this, he has a list of 800 contacts that could all be prospects, but he knows a handful of them are like the high performers. And it's like, I bet you have 25 right there, right? So this is fantastic. Grab that list, grab these data points. Maybe you don't already have them. And then we'll be ready for, next month's exercise.
Well, and it also helped me realize who's in the database and who's in my LinkedIn and other social media platforms that's not in my database, and then how to connect them and start working on the strategy.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good exercise. I like it. All right. Anyone else have any ahas? It's crazy how much data is actually in there. Cool.
I have a lot of people in my CRM that would have come in. I used to do speaking for SCORE. So I have a lot of people in there that at one point they certainly weren't ready for us, but they were asking the right questions. They were getting engaged in the right areas to become business. So I think it would actually be a really good idea to follow up and see, kind of following those folks. Did they make it in business? If they have, because I mean, those contacts are.
Right. You froze. But Sheila, did you get that task? Find that CRM list. Oh no.
Are they all frozen? Oh, there she is. She's back.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry.
You're okay.
So I don't know where it cut off, but
but you were going to see if they made it in business, because those might be people that are worth nurturing.
yeah, I mean, those contacts could be 6, 7, 8 years old.
And who knows where they are now. Here's what I want to point out, guys. I've told you that, like, you want to be willing to budget, $1,000 over the course of a year for these contacts. We run this for ourselves, and I can tell you, after the second touch point for this year's list, after the second touch point that we did, one of them booked an appointment with me already. These were completely cold. Okay, some of the people that you identify from your list, you may have already had contact with. It might be kind of warm, right? But these were completely cold. That one contact, if they converted, it would pay for everything else, right? So that's the value in this. You go back through that list, just one of them is all this is going to take. And so it's, you wanted to know at what point do you call it, but just imagine, you guys, all it's going to take is one. When we're aiming this high, right? And for those of you doing the strategic referral partners, again, the clients they could refer you are probably so valuable, it would pay for this. And when I say, listen, we do a lot with gifting, yes. But what I'm going to walk you through is not going to be like we're sending them chocolates, okay? What we're eventually getting to here is we're going to help you show them that you can be helpful. You're going to acknowledge what's important to them. We are going to design things that really capture their attention by, well, yes, the chocolate would be good as well. And certainly at some point in the rounds of touch points, there could just be like a just because, right? But together, I'm going to show you how we craft the stories that make sense why you sent it. And make them take notice, like, boy, this person has really been sending me some helpful stuff. right? So that's our goal here.
So I know we've had a conversation before, Jamie, in different things that like we've sent out, and we've talked about, do we brand it, do we not brand it? I assume that we're kind of shifting this thought to, we do brand these things, we make them helpful, but we do brand things, or how
No.
do you feel about that?
Okay, not always. And we'll say this up front. The first thing we do might actually make you very uncomfortable because it is a lot of this stuff is not going to be salesy at all. There's not even like the first mailing we did on this year's list, all it had was my name. And I think it may have had my company like printed underneath it. So the first mailing we did had, I think actually both of them have had letters. Letters that give the messaging for why the thing is coming their way. And the first one was a book, another one had some resources for them, but it's explaining based on the research, we know people in your industry struggle with this. Here's some things. All it had was my name. There was no way, unless they went out of their way to research me, that they'd really put it together, right? But the second one came up with, it included, along with the letter and the stuff we gave them, it included a postcard that had a QR code where they could download additional stuff. That started to get them a little closer to me. Now I can start to see, yeah, some of them were following it. They weren't doing anything else really, and it was not a sell. Nothing on that page tried to sell them. And one booked an appointment. Because on their own, they start connecting the dots. Why is this person being helpful to me? And they started to learn more. Okay, so it might feel uncomfortable at first because it's not like much else we're taught and we do in business, right? But this is the strategy that has proven the results. That over time, you're developing the trust and the relationship that makes these people want to ask you for help when the time is right. Cool. What else? Lisa, did you have another question?
No, this has been
Okay.
really helpful. And
Cool.
to, like I'm one of those horrible people that I have it in my head. I'm like, that's good enough. And it's like, no, you need to write it down. And when I started to make my list, I was like, oh, I actually see some patterns of industries I'm going after. Hey, look at that. I'm using data.
Yes.
Yay, evidence-based decision making.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy the next round of
Yeah.
pulling out the different pieces of information about them then.
Yeah.
In the pattern finding.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get into all of that. Yeah, good. I'm glad. And that's just it. So many of us, if you've had coaches or, you've followed other conferences, events, breakout sessions, people have probably talked about new business development to us multiple times. And most of the time, yeah, we know, but we never actually sit and do it. And so that's why I wanted this time together. Let's just do it. So I hope you will take the time then between the next call and get your list of 10. You will, when you get the follow-up email from this, you will have access to the recording so that you can watch it again. I don't know if it would help to have the PowerPoints. I'm flexible. I can include that if you guys want. And then you also know how to reach out to me if you have questions in between. So, cool. All right. Well, if nothing else, I can give you your 10 minutes to go get a few more people on your list. Thank you, guys.
Jamie.
Thanks for being here. Hope it's helpful.
Thanks,
This is
Jamie.
super helpful.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamie.
Okay. Yep.
I did just take a look at my LinkedIn Sales Navigator too.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I might be special, but I'm guessing I'm not, but they seem to have like a 30-day free trial.
Oh, okay, good. They do run specials. Like I
Yeah.
got my first couple months, like cheap or free, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, you could turn it on just to get your list. Sure.
Yeah.
Good call.
And I know when you cancel, they try to beg you back too.
Oh, they sure do.
Oh, God, they go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Jamie.
All right.